I can't ask ChatGPT solutions to military problems.
Was the naval career always your choice of action, being a dip side?
It's only in hindsight I can say there was an invisible attraction.
When you're out there in the middle of the ocean, responsible for hundreds of lives, what does leadership feel like?
As the commanding officer, the buck stops with you. Or you're afraid of something that is going to happen, you cannot let it show.
How important is cultural adaptability and global collaboration when you're representing India on the world stage?
When we go there in some of these appointments, and especially as serving armed forces officers, we also go as ambassadors of our country. So the people that we interact with take away an impression of our country from who we are and what we say and what we do. Excellence in any field only comes from hard work, and there is absolutely no substitute for hard work.
How would you describe the innovations happening all around the naval bases, the tech-savvy students of today?
Current decade is the rapid pace of change in technology. So it's not just technology that is impacting warfare, it's also the pace at which technology is impacting warfare. AI and cyber, these are really driving stuff because
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another milestone episode of the DPS Mathura Road Podcast Club. Today, our studio is charged with an extraordinary sense of pride as we host a truly historic homecoming. We have the rare privilege of introducing a legendary guardian of our nation's seas and a brilliant role model from our very own family.
We are incredibly honored to welcome back Vice Admiral Tarun Sobti, Deputy Chief of the Naval Staff, Indian Navy. Long before achieving elite military honours, including the Uttam Yudh Seva Medal, Ati Vishish Seva Medal, and Vishish Seva Medal, or commanding cutting-edge warships like the guided missile destroyer INS Kolkata, he walked these very lawns of our own school as a guided and dedicated brother from 1977 to 84. Welcome back, sir.
thank you.
So, to begin with, looking around the campus today, what is the first memory that flashes from your days as a boarder in the 70s and the 80s? And how did living and learning at DPS Mathura Road shape you into the leader that you are today?
I think the first memory certainly comes from the time one passes through the gates of the school. But more than that, since I joined the hostel, I think the first memory is when my parents drove me into the school and left me in front of the hostel and drove off. And there I was on my own entirely. Not yet 11 years old. But certainly the school has shaped me. And, one of the most important things about a person is what character a person has. And that character is shaped in some very, very fundamental years of a young boy or any young person. And my years was the pre-teen to the teenage years. So the school has made me, I think, to a very large extent what I am. And living in the hostel and in the school, large school, diverse, I learned empathy. I learned to be friends with people from all walks of life, all parts of the country. So that gave me respect for everybody. And sports, academics, all these things which are important as one grows up in school. Very difficult to name some of the things that the school has done for me as a person. But certainly at the end of the journey, one realizes that that has become a very significant part of me.
Sir, it is wonderful to hear that the values we learn here go on in many phases of our life.
That's true. Service before self is one of them.
Yes, definitely. Sir, moving forward, coming from a distinguished army family yourself, was the naval career always your choice of action, being a dip side? Or was there a turning point in your life that made you realize, I have to go for the seas?
Actually, it wasn't something that I carried from younger days. In fact, when you come to the point when you have to start making career decisions, and this was towards the end of my 10th, I had a discussion with my parents and I decided I wanted to be a executive, do MBA and stuff like that. And at the end of the 10th class examinations, when the session started again in 11th, actually I joined commerce stream. And from that point till the summer vacation for about month plus, I was in the commerce stream. And then, of course, in the summer break, the board results came. I did pretty decently in science, and the school said that science is what you should take. In fact, they insisted, I should say. And I actually I did go with my pleas to the vice principal, but I was told that science is a good thing. So I started preparing for other options also. At that point in time, even if you could switch streams for college at that point in time, I think you still can probably.
Yeah.
You can be a science student and still do BCom or some such thing. So I thought, why not? But I was very fond of reading. I still am, and I used to read a lot of books about the sea and life at sea, etc. And there was this invisible attraction. I don't know. It's only in hindsight I can say there was an invisible attraction. So I decided to join the Merchant Navy or give that a try. And at that point in time, the Merchant Navy exam was common with the IIT JEE exam. And so I started preparing for that. We used to have correspondence courses at that point in time. But just as I was to do that, and along the way, I also gave my NDA entrance exam. UPSC is quite close. We just filled up the form. Me and my friend just walked across and we handed in the form at UPSC. Had chart there and came back. Yes, very famous chart. I gave the NDA entrance exam. So in Merchant Navy, what happened in the mid-80s, which I'm talking about 1984 now, there was a downturn in the industry. And in fact, people who were trained to be in the Merchant Navy were not finding jobs because there was a big downturn in the industry at that point in time. And that is when I decided that let me join the Indian Navy. And there I was.
Wow, that is definitely a roller coaster to talk about. All right.
So you have commanded 3 major warships, including the INS Kolkata. When you are out there in the middle of the ocean, responsible for hundreds of lives and our nation's security, what does leadership feel like in those high-pressured moments?
So when you're out at sea, you're alone. The ship is alone, I would say. Ship is it's a unit, it's an entity, many people, but you're alone. And as the commanding officer, you're the last word, the buck stops with you. So I think the most significant part about command of a warship, which is at sea, in a high-pressure situation, is the fact that the commanding officer is alone. He has, of course, his team of advisors and he has other people, the other officers on the ship who will advise him and guide him. But ultimately, the decision rests on the commanding officer and he is alone. So therefore, you have to have mental resilience. You have to be completely professional and you have to remain calm at all points in time. And that is not always easy, especially when, if you are apprehensive or you're afraid of something that is going to happen, you cannot let it show. You have to have an external demeanor which is calm and it portrays that you're completely under control, because if you do not portray that, your men will panic in a difficult situation. So always the buck stops with you, but you have to remain absolutely calm in high-pressure situations. So that is the big challenge of command at sea.
So that really shows how keeping your calm is really important during high-pressure moments.
Absolutely.
Sir, as a President's Gold Medalist at the National Defence Academy, what is your secret for achieving academic excellence and extracurricular excellence for students struggling with it?
Academic excellence, actually, excellence in any field only comes from hard work, and there is absolutely no substitute for hard work. So a person cannot get away without doing hard work. So that is the first point about excellence. But also, I would say, besides hard work, if everybody works hard, so what's the difference? Especially in academics or in some of the extracurricular activities, I feel that to be able to focus, that is complete concentration on the task at hand at that point in time, is what will take you ahead along with hard work. Because time is finite in a day. And let's say you have an hour's study to be done. If you're able to focus yourself completely and concentrate, not get distracted, because today especially, it's a world full of distractions. If you're not to get distracted, and you're able to focus your attention in your time in that 1 hour, then you will be able to get more out of that 1 hour than you would otherwise be just sitting there. And that is very important. It's the same thing in sports, on the sports field. When you're on the sports field, you should be completely focused on what is happening on the sports field. Whether if you're playing game of football, then where the ball is, where the people are, and that is all that you should be thinking about. So I think focused, deep work, it is called by some people, is what will take you besides hard work.
Definitely, sir. Focus, hard work, consistency, all pillars of success.
Yes.
So, you have served as a naval attaché at the Embassy of India in Moscow and underwent advanced naval training in France. How important is cultural adaptability and global collaboration when you're representing India on the world stage?
Once you're on the world stage or you have contact with people who are not part of your country or not your own countrymen, I think it's very important to have a broad-based knowledge of what are the events around the world and what is happening. So unless you are up to date on that, you will find yourself that you cannot even make conversation with other people. But when we go there in some of these appointments, and especially as serving armed forces officers, we also go as ambassadors of our country. So the people that we interact with take away an impression of our country from who we are and what we say and what we do. So it's very important to be able to keep that in mind, that you are ambassadors of your country, and therefore you must always be representing your country in the most apt and suitable manner. And therefore your ability to communicate, your ability to understand various cultures, respect these cultures, and most importantly, your ability to be able to see a different point of view. Because I think the most striking thing that I realized is that you can have a particular situation and different people can have a completely different point of view. I'll give you a small example. When the first Gulf War took place, and we had a group of students who were discussing, the importance of what is happening in Iraq, etc. And how it was a group discussion, and there were student officers from UAE, from France, from the US, etc. And they were talking about democracy. And this officer from UAE says that the most significant thing for me is security. Democracy will come after that. So, his perspective was that if I'm living in a country, I don't care whether it's democracy or not democracy, as long as I have security, personal security. So these are different perspectives that you're able to understand and respect. So that's what you learn on the global stage.
So that really shows how different perspectives shape different narratives.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sir, today we observe that the Indian Navy is integrating various types of tech, AI, and modern defense systems in today's Indian Navy tech. So how would you describe the innovations happening all around the naval bases to the tech-savvy students of today?
So if I look back at my career, and if I just talk about the last, say, 30 years or so, the period from 2000 to 2010, the next decade after that, in the current decade, I would say one of the most significant things about the current decade is the rapid pace of change in technology. And so it's not just technology that is impacting warfare, it's also the pace at which technology is impacting warfare. Technology has always impacted warfare. If you look at, when submarines were made, when radars were discovered, radio communication started happening. I'm talking about really going back all the way, steamships came in, iron ships, steel-hulled ships came in. So technology is always, but now we're seeing a very rapid acceleration of the impact of technology. And things like low-cost drones, the ability of commercial technology to be quickly adapted to military use, the ability, I will not say the ability, the communication equipment that we have, satellite basically, I'm referring to that, satellite communications, which makes communication across the globe so much faster. so that the front end of the battlefield is fully connected to the rear end of the battlefield, and there is continuous communication. As a result, the availability of what is happening, the awareness of the commander right in front of the battlefield is he's completely aware of what's happening, not just in his immediate vicinity, but all around. And then AI and cyber, these are really driving stuff, because cyber can really disrupt what you're doing or trying to do. And you can use cyber to disrupt everything. You can disrupt radars, you can disrupt communication, you can disrupt the battlefield. And AI is the latest thing, and that's one thing that we're really striving for. And in our case, in the military sense, AI is not generic. It's not what I can't ask chat GPT solutions to military problems, nor can I ask Claude. They will not have that. So what we need to do is to build our own AI. And to be able to build your own AI, you have to be able to have data. So we are now, and the Indian Navy is in the process of gathering and digitizing all data, so that when you have the data, then you can build AI tools on top of that to be able to find the solution that you are looking for, and which you cannot get from a generic civilian oriented AI. Yes, so technology is doing a lot for us, a lot of disruption.
All right. Definitely, sir, because AI is on top of the world right now, but it was created by humans and it will be improving in the coming years. And definitely human knowledge is way beyond what AI can tell us.
Absolutely. And that actually brings to the 4 ethics of use of AI in warfare. Whether the human stays in the loop, or is the AI allowed to take the decisions to kill other human beings. So we believe that the human has to stay in the loop.
That is very intriguing.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
So, beyond the rigid discipline, the medals, and the strategy, what is the most beautiful or profoundly human aspect of life at the seas that we, the civilians, rarely get to see?
So, like I said, for us at sea, you're a independent floating entity with everything on board to help you survive. So as far as the human aspect is concerned, you realize that nothing can function if everybody does not function. So every man is important. That junior most sailor who's taking what is the level of fuel left in a tank, the sailor who's keeping watch, the sailor who's steering, the officer who's navigating. So I would say the most profound thing as far as the human aspect is concerned is a team that is there and the interdependence in that team. And because of that team, it's the camaraderie that we share. So, you, especially in the military, in the Navy, you realize that if you have to go into battle and if you have to die or be killed, you're doing it together and you're doing it with each other. So if you have to survive, then you have to do your bit, because nobody else is going to come there and help you. So it's that interdependence of human beings in that microcosm that is, I think, the most significant part. Yes.
So that really shows how team spirit lifts us in difficult moments as well.
Yes.
Going further, sir, you have been awarded Uttam Youth Seva Medal, AVSM and VSM for your distinguished service. What if there are situations where things don't go exactly according to plan? How would you combat that?
So one of the things that we train for always is that you always have to mentally keep thinking that if things don't go according to plan, what will you do? So even as I am, let's say, in a very simple situation, I'm handling a ship and we're coming alongside a pier, a jetty, and we're making that approach. Even as we're making approach and everything is going fine, at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what if my engine fails? What will I do? What if my steering fails? What will I do? What if something suddenly comes in front of you? What will I do? So it's a lifetime of always thinking of situations which can turn the plan around. Yet, you can never be fully prepared when things don't go as per plan. So I think mental resilience is the most essential aspect, and the ability, like I said, to be able to stay calm. If you're able to stay calm and things don't go according to plan, you will make sure that you don't induce panic in the people around you. And then people will respond and react to the situation. and make sure that things come back on track. Yes, so handling crisis is being able to have a plan B running in your mind all the time. And if things don't go according to plan, then to respond with calmness. And that requires mental resilience.
Definitely, sir. Even I feel in student life, overthinking has become a very important part of our life. And I guess the state of mind that we are in and the efforts really change that.
Yes, I agree.
So many students today lean automatically toward corporate or tech sectors. So how would you pitch a career in the armed forces to a brilliant class 11 or 12 student who really wants to make an impact on the world?
I think the armed forces offer a really wonderful life. That's the first thing. They offer an environment of teamwork, of camaraderie, of service to an ideal which is beyond yourself. And it's not easy to convince a youngster for whom maybe financial security is a significant thing. Money in the profession is a significant thing. But I think more than anything else I've seen in your generation, the young people want to make an impact. They want to do something significant and not just make money. I think the armed forces definitely offer you that. An ability, an environment to make an impact and do something which is for your country or for beyond your own self. It's not a selfish motive at all. The second thing is that there's a phenomenal amount of technology in the armed forces. Armed forces are leading the world in cutting-edge technology. They always have led because the nature of warfare has required technology to be at the forefront. So you will be in a very technical field. I would say the pay is not bad at all. It's pretty decent. Your life is very good. Very respected in your own country. The most respected profession in your country today continues to remain the armed forces. So I think a life full of dignity, interest, teamwork, adventure, cooperation, all the things that are significant for a human being is there, and the money is also decent enough, I would say.
Yes, sir.
So that is really motivating for the students wanting to pursue this career.
To wrap up our conversation, sir, as an elder brother to everyone in this room and as an alumnus who sat exactly where we are sitting today, what will be your one core advice you would want to give to every dipside to hold on to the future?
So there's an American author, ex-US Navy, not an author, more of a public speaker. Let me try and take a line from what he said. He said, it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that determines your altitude. So when he talks about aptitude, he's talking about, intelligence, professional aspects, etc., etc. That's your ability to do things. And when he's talking about attitude, he's talking about mental resilience, your positivity, your outlook to life. So to sum it up again, it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that determines your altitude.
Definitely, sir. Even I feel that being intelligent is necessary, but being humble is even more necessary and on top.
Humility is a very, very important quality.
Definitely.
So this conversation today has been such an honor. Hearing how you went from sitting in our very own classrooms to guarding our nation's frontiers brings such immense pride in us. Thank you so much for showing us what a life of dedicated service looks like.
Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure to be here with you today. Very happy to see that we have a podcast running. I think it's a great way to reach students. And, I come here with a sense of nostalgia. And also to pay my respects to this school that helped shape me and make me become what I am today. So that's my main purpose for the visit today.
Again, thank you, sir, from my side, because you shared such valuable insights with us today that will even shape my life and maybe teach my parents also some new things.
Thank you so much.
We wish you fair winds and following sails.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much.
And remember,
Service before self.